A lot of us struggle with these two phases of areas of, I don't know if it's life, but these two words, pre-contemplation and contemplation. Hello, I am back. So just in the previous episode, I was speaking about self-awareness. And I mentioned that I had been on a 25-day fast. And what I realized about fasting, what it does is it helps you it increases your level of self-awareness. And for me, I realized that self-awareness is imperative in helping you to grow in all areas of your life. And with my podcast, which is I Am Unafraid, where I speak about life, love, and healing in a very bold and, as bold as I can be, or I cannot be allowed on camera. So it's about just having authentic conversations. So just to ride off what I was speaking about in that podcast on self-awareness, just to kind of have a continuation, is I came across a word, and I'm going to read it, called precontemplation. So precontemplation is basically not acknowledging that there is a problem behavior that needs to be changed. So if you're in a space where you don't acknowledge that change needs to happen, you're in this space of pre-contemplation. Now, contemplation, so there's pre-contemplation and then there's contemplation. Contemplation is where you do acknowledge that there is a problem, but you're not ready or sure of wanting, or you lack the confidence to make a change. So I was reading something and earlier in the week, and it occurred to me that a lot of us struggle with these two phases of areas of, I don't know if it's life, but these two words, pre-contemplation and contemplation. Pre-contemplation and then there's also where you just do not even know that you have a problem, or that there's a problem, that there's a change that needs to happen, so you're just completely unaware. So we tend to, depending on what the issues are in our life, we tend to seesaw between not knowing that a change needs to happen in our life, to knowing that a change needs to happen, but we are not willing to change, right? So, or we lack the confidence to change. So why am I bringing this up? I'll give you an example. I've talked about this, I've written about this on my social media in the past, about how I went through this season of financial distress, and based on a business that I and some people got into, and we ended up it was just a very challenging situation. Now, I remember during that season, like even before the season, when things were still okay, like things had not yet gotten insane, I remember myself and my business partner, we would sit in the office and really grind mentally about what we needed to do to get out of our situation. So usually what happens is you discover you have a problem, and then when you discover you have a problem, you're like, okay, we need to find the solution, right? In the finding of the solution, depending on where you are, so it could be, especially now if you're in a group setting. So I had business partners. I was not the only partner in this business. So I had 4 business partners. Right? We were 4 business partners. So I had 3 other partners. And the thing with a partnership is that a lot of the time you cannot make major decisions without the consent of all the other partners, right? So what would happen would be all of us, depending on how that day we have woken up, And depending on how important and how urgent solving that problem is on that day, we would all come with our different levels of urgency in solving the problem. So there would be days I would be the one saying, hey, we need to do A, B, C, D. Or there would be days all of us are just like, hey, we can't deal with this. Now, it's good to know that you have a problem that needs solving. I think the worst thing, which is where self-awareness comes in, is where you have no clue that you're the problem, and that, or even if you're not the problem, you have no clue that there is a problem that needs to be solved or a change that needs to happen for the shift towards solving the problem happening, right? So I remember we really, for like, I think by the time we discovered we had an issue with the company, I think it took us another 3 to 4 months before we actually embarked on trying to solve the problem. Now, by the time we were embarking on trying to solve the problem, it was a bit late, right? It was a bit late. I remember at that particular point in time, I was calling people up who I thought were experts. And I was seeking counsel, right? I was seeking counsel. And even as I was seeking counsel, I was seeking counsel from a space of lack of self-awareness. Like, I still did not know that I did not know. So I was seeking counsel for the problem that was visible to me. Yet, the biggest problem was not the tangible things that were going wrong. Like, let's say us losing our office, us being evicted, us not being able to pay our employees, us having issues with our suppliers. Those are the visible problems that we were trying to fix, right? But it took me a couple of years after that to realize that really the problem that needed fixing was me. I will not speak for my business partners right now. I'll speak about me, right? They can start their own podcast on a light note to talk about their, but for me, years later, I realized this is me taking my portion of the blame. So of course, the 4 of us, all of us had different responsibilities, but I had to sit with myself at a point and say, my lack of self-awareness actually got me to that space. And that's why on this podcast right now, I speak about life, love, and healing. And I had to take it back and say, even my lack of self-awareness with regards to my position in a relationship or my contribution in a relationship contributed to my relationships failing. My lack of self-awareness about life, about my life, contributed to areas in my life suffering. My lack of self-awareness, even when I was saying I am healing, I am working on my healing. And sometimes we go through things and you're like, I'm healing, I'm doing ABCD, I'm exercising, I guess if you're spiritual, reading the Bible, I'm praying, or I'm taking a course. Maybe I failed in an exam or I failed in an area of life. So I'm going to take a course on how to make money, or take a course on how to build relationships, or take a course on how to speak better. If you lack self-awareness, all those things that you're doing don't make sense. From the time we discovered, for example, in our business that things were going haywire, for me to get to a point of realizing that I was a cog in the wheel to solve the problems, but I was not looking at myself, I was not looking inward, I was looking outward, I think it has been a maybe 3 to 4 year journey of like, yes, this happened, these people contributed, these people initiated the problem happening. However, because I was not self-aware, I was not able or capable of even identifying when things were going wrong and what we needed to do, right? So what's the point, guys, today? What's the point of what I'm saying right now? It's back to the concept of contemplation and pre-contemplation. A lot of us out here, And I see it on social media. I see conversations that people have. I see, sometimes we feel, especially when you're gifted in any area, you're gifted at music, you're gifted at writing like I am. What I realize is that it's very hard to see yourself as you should see yourself. I don't know if that makes sense. And because of that, you face the challenge of missing out on growth at a personal level that can enable you to really just skyrocket in all areas of your life, right? So what I want to encourage you guys is, if you've not yet started taking the exercise of introspecting, and this comes only where you're struggling. I'm not talking to people who are doing well in life. I'm talking to the people who are struggling in some area of their life. If you're struggling in an area of your life and you find that somebody else was the person who initiated the struggle, it could be your husband, your wife, it could be a friend, you find yourself in this situation, it could be your boss or an employee. Before you're quick to point fingers and look outward and look for solutions to fix the outward things that you're seeing, you may want to first just take a beat and sit with yourself and ask yourself a couple of questions with regards to, what role am I playing? What role have I played in being where I'm at right now? I remember there was, this is funny to me. So I remember years ago, I used to hang out with this person who used to do seminars, and he used to do this personal development seminars. And he used to say things that sometimes would rub people the wrong way. And we hear it in the personal development space when people say, if you're poor, it's your fault. And depending on who's listening, that can come off very offensive. Why? Because a lot of people are not poor because of necessarily them. Some people really work hard, right? They really work hard, but they don't seem to be able to get to another level of growth. Now, my point is this, that as harsh as such statements that are made by people, sometimes in a very insensitive light, I feel that it's important to constantly ask ourselves these questions about ourselves if we are in a place of struggle. So if you're not making the kind of money you want to make, if you're not married to the person you want to get married to, if you're not where you want to be in life, if you don't have the body you want, maybe you need to lose weight or gain weight, like, ask yourself from a personal level or an internal level whether you're looking at the right problem. Yeah, whether you're looking at the right problem. Are you looking outward or should you be looking inward, right? Yes, so guys, that's it for right now. Thank you. Like, subscribe. See you soon. Bye.